It's funny, the things you remember when you finally find peace. For me, it's the quiet. The profound, unburdened quiet in my own apartment. But to truly understand that, to get why that silence means so much, we have to go back to a night not that long ago, when my world exploded. A night that started with a small, gold band hitting the hardwood floor and ended with me realizing I was finally free. That night, in our Old Town Alexandria apartment, I watched Olivia's wedding ring bounce off the hardwood floor. It wasn't just a ring, it was 4 years of our life, and she'd just thrown it at my chest, telling me, clear as day, that she wasn't my wife tonight. Something inside me just went cold. Like a light had flickered off, permanently. She grabbed her purse, the door slammed shut, and I heard her heels clicking down the hallway. Each click sounded less like anger, more like an escape. An escape she was so clearly thrilled about. My first instinct, the one that probably most guys would have had, was panic. To chase after her, to call, to beg, to try to fix it. But something different took over. I walked over, picked up that cold gold band from the floor, and placed it on the kitchen counter. Then, I pulled out my phone. Snap. 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 3 photos. Different angles. A new folder. Labeled it evidence. Because in that instant, something crystallized for me. She hadn't just thrown a ring, she'd thrown the entire case into my lap. She'd made her statement. She was single. And that, I realized, was a gift. I was 29 at the time, Ethan. We'd been married for 4 years, building this life that, from the outside, looked perfect. The kind of life you scroll past on Instagram and think, goals. But about 2 months before that night, things had started to feel off. Olivia was out more, always with her friends from work, always coming home late, smelling like vodka and cigarette smoke. I'm not a jealous guy, never have been, so I tried not to make a big deal of it. But then her phone suddenly had a password I didn't know, and she'd delete texts right in front of me, almost defiantly. I tried to tell myself it was just a phase, that everyone needed space. That marriage has seasons, and this was just a rough one. But honestly? Looking back, I wonder how many red flags it takes before you stop making excuses for someone you love. I was making a lot of them. That Friday night, I'd made dinner, carbonara, garlic bread, the works. 7 o'clock came and went. Then 8. No text. I ate alone, put her plate in the fridge, and tried to distract myself with Netflix. She walked in around 7:12, I remember glancing at my watch. She wasn't drunk, she was stone cold sober. And that was terrifying. She looked at me like I was a stranger, like I was just in her way. I offered to heat up her food, and she let out this sharp, humorless laugh. I'm 27 and I'm living like I'm 40, she snapped, dropping her bag. I'm tired of playing house. Tired of pretending this is enough. Tired of you acting like we're this perfect little unit when I feel like I'm disappearing. I tried to stay calm. Asked her what was wrong, said we could talk through anything. She just cut me off. There's nothing to talk through, she said. I don't want another one of your reasonable conversations where you fix everything with logic. And then, she did it. She yanked off her wedding ring, held it up between us like it was some kind of accusation. This ring is a symbol of me disappearing, she declared, before throwing it directly at my chest. It hit me, then thudded onto the floor. I'm single tonight, she said, grabbing her purse again. Don't wait up. Don't call. Don't do anything. And she was gone. I stood there for maybe 10 minutes, just staring at the door. No anger. No sadness. Just this strange, absolute clarity. Like someone had finally turned on all the lights in a dark room. She just told me, in front of God, in our apartment, by her own choices, that she considered herself single. Not separated. Not needing space. Single. I picked up that ring again, but this time, there was no sentimentality. I placed it on the kitchen counter, under the harsh overhead light, exactly like a piece of evidence at a crime scene. Then, something just clicked. I knew, without a doubt, what I had to do. I pulled out my phone, opened a new notes file, and typed out a timeline, her exact words, the time she left, the fact she'd thrown the ring. I made sure my phone's call recording was enabled. Thankfully, Boston is a one-party consent state. Then I started calling her. Straight to voicemail. Again. Voicemail. On the fifth try, around 9:30, she actually picked up. The noise was deafening, thumping bass, shouting, male voices laughing in the background. She yelled, "What do you want?" I asked where she was, if she was safe. She just laughed. "I'm at a club, having fun," she shouted over the music. "Something you wouldn't understand." I heard a male voice close to her say something I couldn't quite make out, and she giggled. Then, she repeated it, "I'm not your wife tonight. I'm doing whatever I want with whoever I want." And then she hung up. I saved the call log, screenshot it, backed it up. Then I just sat there, breathing. This wasn't a fight we could recover from. This wasn't a rough patch. This was a unilateral declaration. A decision to detonate our marriage. And she was making sure I had all the proof I needed. Around 10:15, my phone buzzed. A photo. She was at some rooftop bar, sandwiched between two guys I'd never seen, arm around one of them, a huge, triumphant smile. The caption? "Bet you wish you were more fun." I stared at that picture for a long time. It did hurt, yeah, but mostly, it just solidified everything. She was giving me everything. Every piece of evidence I'd need. I screenshot it, backed it up to 3 different places, timestamped it. I didn't respond. Didn't engage. Just saved. By 11, I was on my laptop, researching divorce attorneys in Boston. Found one with excellent reviews, specializing in high-conflict cases. At 11:58, I called his emergency line. He picked up on the third ring, sounded wide awake. I gave him the shortest version I could, wife threw her ring, declared herself single, left, sent photographic proof. I explained I had recordings, screenshots, timestamps for everything. There was a beat of silence, then he said the words that made my entire body relax, "She just gave you the entire case." He told me not to delete anything, not to contact her unless she contacted me first, and to meet him at his office Monday morning at 8. I hung up. The fear was gone. Just done. I went to bed that night and slept better than I had in 2 months. That Saturday morning at 8, I met with Mr. Davies, the attorney. Mid-50s, sharp suit, the kind of guy who just exuded competence. I laid everything out for him, the photos of the ring, the timestamps, the call recording, the text with the photo, her exact words. He spread it all across his desk, methodically building the case. He confirmed it was solid. Asked about our assets, apartment lease in my name, I'd paid every deposit, all utilities from day one. Joint bank accounts, but I was the primary earner. No kids, no shared property beyond furniture. He nodded, taking notes. "We'll have the petition ready to file electronically first thing Monday morning," he said. "We need to get ahead of this." By Saturday afternoon, the groundwork was done. And this strange, quiet calm settled over me. Like I was finally doing something proactive instead of just reacting. When Olivia finally came home Sunday morning, the wheels were already turning. I heard her key in the lock around 10:30, heard her bag drop, then her footsteps falter as she saw me sitting at the kitchen table, coffee and laptop open. She looked rough, mascara smudged, hair messy, still in Friday night's dress. She tried that small, apologetic smile, like we'd just had some silly argument. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice small. I looked up. "Check your email." Her face went from confused to stunned as she scrolled. Her eyes went wide, mouth open, looking at me like I'd just burned down the apartment. She held up her phone. "What the hell is this? You're filing for divorce?" I took a slow sip of coffee. "You threw your ring at me, Olivia. You told me you were single. I'm simply taking you at your word." She started pacing, hands shaking. "It was just one night." I was angry. I stayed calm. "You sent me a photo, with two guys, mocking me. You told me, on a recorded line, that you were doing whatever you wanted, with whoever you wanted." She stopped. "You recorded me?" she snarled, accusing me of being controlling. "This is exactly why I need space." I just shook my head. "Documenting," I said, "is very different from controlling." She tried another tactic. Sat across from me, reached for my hand. I pulled it back. She said she'd made a mistake, felt trapped, acted out, but she loved me, she didn't want this. I looked at her, truly looked at her, and realized. I felt nothing. "You didn't act out, Olivia," I told her. "You made a series of very clear choices. Throwing your ring. Declaring yourself single. Going out with other men. Sending me proof." She started really crying now. "Are you just throwing away 4 years for one bad night?" she sobbed. "Don't you even want to try?" I stood up, walked to the sink, poured out the rest of my coffee. "Who threw away 4 years, Olivia?" I asked, turning back to her. "You threw the ring." That Sunday afternoon, after she'd exhausted her tears and anger and desperate pleas, I told her the reality. "The apartment lease is in my name, Olivia. You need to pack your things." She just stared at me, asking where she was supposed to go. I just shrugged. "You wanted independence. You wanted to be single. This is part of it." She tried to argue, claiming rights, saying I couldn't just force her out. I opened my laptop, showed her the lease, my name, the documentation of every payment. "You can stay with friends, with your sister, whatever. But you're not staying here." She unleashed every name she could think of. Cruel. Punishing. "This isn't the man I married," she screamed. I just waited. When she finally ran out of breath, I said, "No. The man you married would have waited up for you. Would have forgiven you. Would have let you walk all over him. That man," I told her, "doesn't exist anymore." She packed 2 bags, slamming drawers, muttering about how I'd regret this. The second she left, I changed the door code. I sent an email to the building manager. Then, I systematically started taking down every single wedding photo. Every frame, every smiling picture of us. Packed them into a box. Put them in the storage closet. The apartment felt bigger without them. Cleaner. Like I could finally breathe. Monday morning, Mr. Davies filed the petition electronically through Boston's court system. By Wednesday morning, Olivia was served at her office. I know because her sister called me screaming, yelling about how humiliating it was to have her served at work. I kept my voice level and told her to have Olivia contact my attorney. Then I hung up. I blocked her sister, blocked her mom, blocked everyone from her side who I knew would start the guilt campaign. My phone blew up for an hour. Texts coming in from numbers I didn't recognize. People telling me I was making a huge mistake, that I was being rash, that marriage is about forgiveness. I deleted every single one. Have you ever noticed how people who've never been in your situation always have the strongest opinions? Around 4 p.m. that Wednesday, she showed up in the lobby of my building. The front desk guy called me, asked if I wanted him to send her up. I said no, told him I wasn't available, but went down anyway. I knew she wouldn't leave. She was by the elevators, clearly having put in effort. Hair done, makeup perfect, wearing the dress I'd always said I liked. She saw me and her whole face lit up, like this was going to work. She begged for just 5 minutes. I crossed my arms. Say what you need to say. She took a breath, trying to organize her thoughts, to find the words that would crack me. She said she'd been horrible, she knew it, wasn't denying it, but it was one night of stupidity and I was ending everything. I didn't move. It wasn't one night, I told her. It was 8 weeks of distance, deleted messages, late nights, and then one night where you made it official. She reached for my hand again. I stepped back. She said she was scared. Scared of losing me. Scared of being alone. Scared she'd just destroyed the best thing in her life. Now, the tears were real. I looked at her, and for a second, I almost felt something. Almost. You can't throw a grenade, I said, and then asked to put the pieces back. She was sobbing now, asking if that was it. If 4 years were just gone like that. I nodded. It is. I went back upstairs. She didn't follow. I watched from my window as she stood in the lobby for another 10 minutes, then finally got into an Uber. My phone buzzed one more time, a text from her saying I was going to regret this. I deleted it, blocked her number, and sat down on my couch. The apartment was silent. Completely silent. And for the first time in months, it didn't feel suffocating. It felt like mine. The next week, Olivia started her social media campaign. Subtle at first. Posts about heartbreak, being blindsided, people showing their true colors. Her friends flooded the comments, calling me everything under the sun. I didn't engage, just screenshot everything and sent it to Mr. Davies. My own friends reached out, and I gave them the short version. She threw her ring, declared herself single, went out with other guys, sent me proof, and I filed. Most weren't surprised. Weeks later, we were in a conference room downtown for mediation. Me, Mr. Davies, Olivia, her attorney, and a mediator who looked like she'd seen it all. Olivia's lawyer. Opened with their demands, half the apartment's appreciated value, half my retirement contributions, my covering her moving expenses. Mr. Davies countered with my offer, a $15,000 lump sum, equivalent to her financial contributions to shared expenses, in exchange for signing off on everything else. Her attorney scoffed. Inadequate. Mr. Davies calmly reminded them she'd abandoned the marriage, that the lease was in my name, and that her behavior was extensively documented. The mediator called for a break. Mr. Davies told me to stay firm. They were posturing. When they came back in, Olivia asked if she could speak to me directly. Mr. Davies gave me a nod. Is there any chance, she asked, her voice shaking. Any chance at all that we could work this out? I'd anticipated this, rehearsed my answer 100 times in my head. But hearing her say it, after everything, still felt strange. I looked at this woman I'd built a life with, who was now a complete stranger, and my voice was steady. No. Her eyes closed like I'd struck her. When they opened, they were full of anger. I hate you, she spat, loud enough that the mediator shifted uncomfortably. I hate you for giving up, for being so cold, for not even trying. I didn't react. Just waited for her to finish. Okay, I said, that makes this easier. Her attorney quickly put a hand on her arm, whispered something, and she slumped back. The mediator asked about another break, but I just said, no. Let's finish this. Olivia's attorney tried a new tack, $25,000, and I cover her legal fees. Mr. Davies looked at me. I just shook my head. We stuck to our number. The offer is $15,000, Mr. Davies told them. Take it, or we go to trial, and a judge gets to see all this evidence in open court. That got their attention. They stepped out again. When they returned, Olivia looked utterly defeated. She agreed. We signed the settlement agreement right there. I wrote her the check. She signed the release. And just like that, it was done. As we were packing up the papers, Olivia stopped at the door, turning back to look at me one last time. There was nothing left to say. Just a long, silent stare, like she was trying to memorize my face, or maybe understand how we'd gotten here. Then she left. Mr. Davies shook my hand. "You handled that perfectly," he said. "Most guys would have caved to the emotional manipulation." I thanked him, settled his balance, and walked out into the afternoon sun feeling lighter than I had in months. 60 days later, the email arrived from the court. Dissolution finalized. Marriage legally ended. I stared at it at my desk, my entire 4 years reduced to a PDF attachment. I forwarded it to my personal email and went back to work. That weekend, I rearranged my whole apartment. New furniture, new sheets, hung different art. I wanted it to feel like mine, not ours. Not a museum of something dead. I started running again, something I'd stopped when we were married. Took a solo trip to Charleston, South Carolina, no plans, just me. 3 months later, I got the promotion I'd been working towards. My life finally started feeling like my own again. Like I was living it, not performing it. People ask if I'm dating. Not yet. I needed time to remember who Ethan was outside of being someone's husband. The truth is, I didn't miss her. I missed the idea of stability, the idea of partnership. But not her specifically. And that told me everything I needed to know. Looking back, that night wasn't just an ending, it was a profound beginning. A beginning of understanding that respect and trust aren't negotiable in a relationship, they're the foundation. And when someone shows you through their actions that they don't value what you've built, believing them isn't cruelty. It's self-respect. My documentation wasn't about revenge, it was about protecting my truth from someone who desperately wanted to rewrite the narrative. It was about finally listening to myself. What do you think? Did I handle this the right way?